Yo, in this video, I'll be breaking down this kind of stutter effect used in Toliver's and Yeat's new music video. I'll show you guys you can create it with the SUBCRIBE plugin and also without the plugin. But before we get into this tutorial, I just want to let you guys know that I just dropped a new crazy update for my VFX Kit plugin. And with this new update, all you have to do is type in the style of effects that you want, and the AI assistant inside of the plugin will apply the effects based off your prompt. It's a super fire update. I'll leave the plugin link in the description, but let's get right into this tutorial. So I'm right here in After Effects and I got this clip from the Toliver and Yeat music video. And I'll show you guys right here. They use that kind of stutter effect. So as you can see, the background stays the same, but he is glitching just like that. And it looks super fire. So what we need to do to create this is first start off with 2 different layers. So I'll just duplicate this 2 times. And for the top layer, we'll be masking out our subject. But as you can see, they have some effects on it. And using a rotor brush tool on this low contrast would be pretty hard. So what I'll do instead is grab the rectangle tool and just mask around where he's moving basically. So like right around here, just make sure that it stays in that like rectangle all the way throughout the scene. And then what I'll do to smoothen this out is bump up the feather by clicking M on my keyboard twice. And now I got these values down here and I just bump up the feather. We can hide the background layer just to see like the amount of feather that we have in here. And this should be good. So now when I unhide my background, it should be normal. And that's exactly what we want. And before we add any of the effects, first thing we want to do is grab the top layer, pre-compose, and move all attributes into the new composition. And then we can add on the jitter frames effect, which is the effect that we'll be using to get this kind of stutter look. Because now after pre-composing it, we make sure that it just grabs the scenes from here. It doesn't grab any of the other scenes from the music video. If you want a high amount of stutters, then keep the edit frame length at 1. And then bump up the frame distance to like, let's do 20. And let's see what it looks like. As you can see, we have a bunch of stutters in here. It's glitching in a real cool way. And what you can do is you can actually move these to different spots in the music video. And we can actually drag up the feather a little bit and the mask expansion as well, just like that. And then we can duplicate it once again, move this one out here, and we can tweak the values of this one like that. So that's something you can do, as you can see. You could also turn down the opacity of it just to make it a bit more subtle. I'll do that for the ones at the side, just like that. And if you want an even higher stutter on these clips, then you can also mess with the seed. You can hold Alt on your keyboard while you click on the... So what you can do is you can hold Alt on your keyboard while you click on the stopwatch. And in here we can type out like time times, let's do 100. So this will basically randomize our jitters a lot more. So as you can see, I added it to this one right there. And it's pretty randomized, and you can see we have some crazy glitches down there. You could also do it for the background layer right here. Just copy the jitter frames, paste it on here. But I think I want to keep the one in the middle normal and just keep the ones at the side stuttering. And as you can see, they also use this kind of glint effect right here. And that one is also in Sapphire. All you need to do is add an adjustment layer and then add on this Sapphire glint effect. But as you can see, they already have one. So whenever I add one on, it's super strong. So what we want to do is turn down the size and turn up the threshold blur, just to make it less visible. Turn down the size like a lot more, and then we can mess with the brightness as well. But obviously for this scene, they already have these kind of glints, so whenever their glints are visible, it will be super strong on my clip. So I'll just remove that for now. But that's a way to create this effect with the Sapphire plugin. But the easiest way that I found to create this kind of jitter frames effect is obviously by using my VFX Kit plugin. So inside the grunge tab, we have this effect called jitter frames right there. And basically the way that I created it is by using the time warp effect. So just apply the time warp effect, start it off at 100. You don't need to mess with any of the other values, just the speed. And then for the next frame, you go down to -500. And then for the frame after that, you go up to +500. And the next frame, you go back to 100. And then after that, you go down to -800. So just mess with these values. And when you do mess with it a lot, you'll get these kind of results. As you can see, we have that jitter effect. But as you can see, it's stuttering right there. And that's exactly the look that we want. And you can choose how much you want these. You can make them a lot tighter, pause, and it will look great as well. And the preset had an exposure effect in it as well. So I'll remove that one. And as you can see, we get that stutter look in here by just turning it down to 100. +800, -800, and then if you also want some motion blur in here, then you can just go down to the motion blur tab, enable the motion blur, go to manual, and turn up the shutter angle to 360 and the shutter samples to 20. Yeah, right there. And with the motion blur in place, it won't be as visible, but it still looks great. And if you do have RSMB, you could add that on as well to get a stronger motion blur. Just apply the RSMB, turn down the blur amount, turn up the blur sensitivity, Actually, you can keep the blur amount pretty high as well. This is just an extra motion blur, nothing that's necessarily needed. But that's basically it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Feel free to tap in with my Instagram. I'll leave it linked below. I'm trying to hit 20K over there, so gotta plug it real quick. But thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you, and I'll see you in the next one.